Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Veronica, and today I want to talk to you a bit more in depth about the Daniel Greene and Naomi King situation. And I'm not going to focus on whether or not Naomi King is being truthful or not. I think that whole thing has played out already. And I personally think that based on the videos that I have watched that we're going to look a little bit at today, Daniel Greene definitely has more proof on his side, whereas Naomi King tried to control a narrative that was very easily disproven. And that is kind of where I want to go at this for, because I am an author, but I'm also, my day job is as a communicator, and I have 10 years of experience in comms and marketing. So I have a lot of experience with building narratives and how people, when they're facing the public, how they speak and why certain word choices are being put where they are. So I wanted to take a look a little bit more on that aspect as opposed to like putting judgment on a situation. And I want to make sure that we're all understanding that these types of conversations are really difficult to have because of the very nature of this topic. But I ask you to be mindful of where you put the blame and how you speak about this situation, because it's not just you talking about the situation, you are also talking about all situations that are similar to this. So please just be mindful about that when you're talking about it. With all of that out of the way, let's just kind of move into the beginning of the timeline. And for you to understand who is who here, I'll provided a very handy dandy little overview here, a graphics. And you have Daniel Greene, who is a very popular fantasy book YouTuber, but also an author. He's the main aspect in this. And then you have Naomi King, who has made the allegations, who is a actor, musician, and author. And then you have Kayla, who is Daniel's then girlfriend, now fiance, who is a voice actress as well. These are the three characters in this shit show. And we start out with Naomi King about 2 years ago in June of 2023, putting out a video that is them describing an assault that happened to them roughly 2 months prior. That video briefly addresses the assault and then moves into a wider conversation about manipulation, assault, and so on. And then nothing. We didn't hear anything. That's what I call video zero, because personally in that video, I could not tell who had done what to Naomi because they left it so vague. And I stand by that. It is not identifiable. Like, Daniel is not identifiable in this. The only people who knew who they were talking about are the people who were involved in the situation. And so moving about 2 years forward in time to February 10th this year, Naomi King releases a video saying, I got a cease and desist letter, or cease and desist, from Daniel Greene. And they got that letter about a week after they posted the previous video, so about 2 years ago. And I think that's a very important point here, because it's been almost 2 years. Why are they talking about it now? And spoiler, but Naomi King themselves says that they don't know why they did this. In this video, Naomi King goes through the fact that they got a cease and desist, and then talking more in depth about the assault, and very much pushing on like, hey, I didn't say it was Daniel, he did, because he sent the cease and desist. And I've been like, yeah, technically, from anyone like outside looking in, we couldn't tell, but of course Daniel knew that you were talking about him because he was involved in the situation. In this video that came out on February 10th this year, Naomi King finally actually confirms that it was Daniel Greene. And this is going to be important later because they will try to backtrack on that. So let's just see what they actually have to say.
They didn't want me talking about him ever again. But again, I never said that video was about him. Now, they also accused me of harassment and invasion of privacy, which I'm not afraid to address. I have nothing to hide. After what he did to me in Vegas.
And there we have the confirmation that this is about Daniel. Now, at this moment, when Naomi said that, hey, I reached out to the girlfriend, at first it was just like, okay, that's kind of weird. with the information that came out later that Daniel Greene stated that they had had an affair for almost 3 years, that became even worse. It's not just weird, it's just weird. It becomes like, if you take a step back and you have two different situations, you have the alleged assault as an isolated incident in this case, and then you have the 3 years of an affair. Why are you then, the first thing you do, reaching out to the girlfriend to tell her, I didn't want this? You are the affair partner. Why are you reaching out to the girlfriend to get sympathy points in that regard? You actively chose to be the affair partner because Naomi knew that he was with Kayla. It wasn't like, oh, I didn't know you had a boyfriend, because that's a separate thing. If you slept with someone, had a relationship with someone that you didn't know had someone else, whatever. If you continue to have a relationship after that, you are the problem. The main fault is always on the person who is cheating. In this case, it's Daniel. Why is Naomi making a video or reaching out to Kayla for sympathy points? You are the affair partner. Kayla is the victim in all of this. That is just an additional level of what the fuck. You know, it comes across very manipulative, and clearly Daniel broke it off with Naomi after this trip to Vegas that they took where the assault allegedly happened. And so what it comes across to me is, here we have an affair partner who got broken up with and then immediately reaches out to the girlfriend to tell the truth, their words, by the way. That just feels like getting ahead of a narrative that Daniel might spin. And it's very manipulative. It feels very conscious and purposeful. So that one was something that I was just like, oh, that's really fucking weird. Why are you bothering her? But when that affair knowledge came in, I was like, that went from weird to manipulative. I never really understood what drives people to contact the partner when you yourself is the problem. Why are you trying to hurt the victim in this situation even further? Anyway, I'm getting off track a little bit. Let's get to the next clip.
I needed her to know that he was sober and wide awake.
Here's something that Naomi does, and this is the first time I was like, okay, my comms brain was going off. It is that Naomi King is repeating this one phrase: sober and awake, and I was half asleep and drugged. That is a phrasing that they use continuously, and it's repeated, I think in this video, like at least 4 times. And that is purposeful. You cannot be repeating the same thing over and over again in such a focused video without having a point to it. You're trying to hammer home the point that he was like awake and sober and he took advantage of me. You're trying to paint a picture, a narrative that conveys to the viewer, that feeds into your viewer's perception of predators. You are trying to tap into that. What I'm trying to say is that when someone naturally is explaining something, you tend to have variations in how you explain something unless you're trying to hammer home a point. And in this case, Naomi King is trying to hammer home the point that he was sober and awake and they were drugged and half asleep. That is painting a picture that is very easily adapted by the viewer. And the reason why I think this is so malicious is because we as a society has finally reached the point where we have all acknowledged and are aware of how low probability of justice a victim is going to have in a court of law. So society, or the court of public opinion, if you will, has taken it on themselves to protect the victims and compensate for the lack of justice that the court of law is providing, and therefore the court of public opinion, the society, the ethics will compensate for that. So Naomi King is trying to tap into that now almost visceral protection that we are trying to extend to victims. That is why it's so harmful when false allegations comes out, because it chips away at society's compassion and care. So using this narrative where you're hammering home the point that he as a man was perfectly in control and capable of his actions, and you were defenseless, and he still decided to assault you. So what Naomi is trying to tap into is that deep emotional connection to justice and fear in a lot of people, and also triggering for a lot of people who have been assaulted, which is why a lot of people rallied behind or around Naomi when this video came out, because a lot of people perceived it as believable. That is what they were intending here. That's the emotion that they're trying to tap into, so that when they later apologize, everyone's reaction is a lot stronger than it would have been otherwise, because you used me. You triggered me unnecessarily. So it becomes a much stronger reaction. So that's something that stood out to me, that they are repeating this phrase with very little variation, because that doesn't come naturally unless you're trying to hammer home a point.
He turned up at midnight, sober and awake, and pressured me, half asleep and on drugs, into sexual things that he and I had agreed beforehand would not happen.
Another thing that really stood out to me when I was watching this, watching through the first time, here's some context about this so you're not confused. Naomi at this point is a sugar baby, and would go, like, sugar babies get spoiled, trips, etc. And they had spoken beforehand very specifically. There's a screenshot of this that Daniel said, I want to go on a friend trip and I will spoil you. Spoil you. So it was very explicitly said that this is a friend trip. It's not a sexual thing. It's not a transaction. Because the thing that stood out to me, I was like, what do you mean you had discussed it beforehand? I have gone a lot of trips with my friends, and I have not once had to discuss about, like, hey, we're not gonna do sex, and if we do, we're gonna do this, this, and this, not that. Like, that's just, like, weird. Unless you have that type of relationship with your friends, apply the context to your own situation in this case. But nothing of that was indicated in this video. So it was just like, what do you mean that you had to discuss this beforehand? But it turns out they are a sugar baby, and it was explicitly said that this is just a friend's trip. Directly after this, Naomi goes into describing the assault in greater detail, and I'm gonna skip that because at the base of it, it's not relevant, and I don't want to risk triggering anyone. Allegedly, there was an assault, but not penetration. I'm gonna leave it at that.
I'm not saying that other video is about him. I never did. This one's about him.
This is pretty disingenuous, because you have confirmed that the assault you described in the earlier video is the same assault you're talking about in this video. So yeah, while you didn't say that the other video was about him, this one is. You are, by just sheer logic, saying that other video was about him, because you can't have two things. Like, a lot of the time, two things can be true at once. In this case, it can't be. Either the assault that you were talking about, that you said is the same assault, is about him, or it isn't. So either you can't have both videos talking about the same situation simultaneously be about him and not about him. There's a lot of back and forth on Naomi's side regarding this kind of stuff, where they say something a little bit more. They don't say it verbatim, but they then go backtrack, like, hey, I didn't say that. You didn't say the explicit words, but through logic and understanding, you are saying those things, because a lot of people took from this that Daniel raped them. They later backtracked, like, I didn't say that he raped me. No, but the situation you're describing in that detail definitely fucking sounds like it. And a lot of people who have been in the same type of situation are calling their own rape, and therefore when you're describing pretty much exactly the same, they interpret it that way. And that's the thing with words. We can put as much thought and care as we possibly can into crafting the perfect message. People will interpret it differently. You can try to mitigate. And this is why I think internet, social media is the way it is, because nuance sucks. Disclaimer sucks. Nuance sucks. And like, the complexities of lives are stripped away, and it's this black and white approach to everything, because nuance is fucking difficult to deal with, because it's context and it's understanding and all of that stuff that plays into reality. And with those in mind, you cannot be as, you did wrong, you did right, I am great, you're shit. You cannot be like that, because all of us contain multitudes. That makes it that kind of existence where it's just one topic at a time, one layer, one level, does not work. We can be as careful as we can, but at some point, other people will interpret differently, and they have to own their interpretation as well. They perceived what you were explaining as rape, and then they proceeded to go out and shit on Daniel and calling him a rapist. The moment they decided to act on that, that's on them. But you still said the words that made them think about rape. So you have to own that, yes, this is a potential interpretation. And that's where nuance comes in. That's why disclaimers and overthinking and saying like, yes, I'm saying this thing, but not this thing over here is very important in these types of situations. But we cannot address each and every potential interpretation. It's not possible. So we also have to have grace with that. But getting back to the video, you can't have it both ways in this case. Either the video was about the same assault, or this one is about a different assault. Because if this one that you're saying is the same as the previous assault is Daniel, the previous one by definition is about Daniel too. You can't go back and forth like this on this, because that is just chipping away at your credibility. Which unfortunately, this whole scenario throughout the videos is just what continues to happen. Naomi's credibility is being chipped away, one lack of context, twisting of the narrative at the time. Okay, we're jumping ahead a little bit because the ending of Naomi's video essentially just was repeating and then saying, hey, I don't want this to blow up, which I don't think is true, because why else would you make the video 2 years later? Anyway, we can talk more about that later. And it ends also with them mentioning that I did report it to Las Vegas police, but this doesn't come up again and is not mentioned anywhere else, like in terms of like a police report or anything. Nothing of that kind of sort is shown. But we are moving to the initial response from Daniel Greene, which is, as you can see, just a minute long. And there's a specific phrasing that I want to talk about here, but I'm gonna let him speak because it's just a minute long.
Hello, my name is Daniel Greene. This is an important message in response to various false allegations made against me by Naomi King of alleged sexual assault in a campaign launched on YouTube and more. Let me be clear. I had consensual sex with Naomi King. Yes, it was an affair that my then girlfriend and now fiance took several years to move on from. I also have clear and convincing evidence to prove everything was consensual. Myself and my team are now planning to sue Naomi King in a court of law. The communication Naomi King has inaccurately used against me online has greatly damaged me and others to date. I also have many other pieces of evidence which prove my innocence. Look for more communication from me based on truth and fact in the near future. Naomi King took time to launch a campaign against me, and I will need time to communicate my truth as well.
So yes, this is a very short, lawyered up response. Very smart to use a lawyer. I think this type of situation is too dangerous to not, and that is really something I stand by. These types of allegations, not drama, it is really dangerous. So I think it's very good for Daniel to use a lawyer in this case. And I want to point out this particular phrasing.
Yes, it was an affair that my then girlfriend and now fiance took several years to move on from.
This phrasing here, that stands out to me because it is something that Naomi King also does. And I think it's unfortunately very common in general amongst humans. And that is shifting focus. So instead of just focusing on the fact that Daniel here had an affair, he was cheating on Kayla, instead of just letting that being the focus, they have crafted a message that puts the focus on Kayla to gain sympathy points. It is, hey, I know I did this, but let's look at it over here, how hurt she was and how long it took for her to get over that, instead of, I cheated and I take responsibility for that. I hurt my girlfriend a lot and I've had to put in the work to regain that trust and to change my behavior. He's shifting blame, not even blame, he's shifting focus away from what he did to gain sympathy points for, see how long it took for her to recover? Why are we talking about this when it took so long to get over? Get over is also a very interesting word choice in this regard, but that might be a little bit too nitpicky. But yes, this is something that really didn't sit right with me because, dude, we're talking about you having an affair. You cheated on Kayla. What does it matter that it took her years to get over it? What, you just needed to take a shower and you were like, why, babe, why are you not getting over this? Like, we already put it in the, like, it's in the past. Like, why? That's the vibe it gives off. And like the shifting of focus from, yeah, this thing happened, but have you looked over here? It's something that really grinds my gears because Kayla is the victim in this. Why are you focusing on her taking years to get over it instead of, hey, I was a piece of shit, but it was consensual? It was just such a stark shift away from, hey, this is the allegations, this is the, and then Kayla. It's just like, don't bring her into this. What the hell? You should have focused this entire statement on what was going on. That phrase just stands out as that sentence just stands out as really weird because you're talking about the allegations and how false it is and you have proof, but you've needed to put in there that it took Kayla years to get over. That is purposeful and it's manipulative. So minus point for that one. Otherwise, yes, good to lawyer up. Now we're getting to Daniel's actual response video, which came on February 17th. And I'm just gonna play the first minute or so to give you context, and then we're gonna jump a little bit to the most important part.
Hello, my name is Daniel Greene, and this is in response to Naomi King's recent videos accusing me falsely of sexual assault on a trip to Las Vegas. And it's very important to me that I immediately address how the title of this video is not clickbait. And Naomi King, in their own second video, recently included evidence to prove the title of this video. One, there was a screenshot.
The title of the video is Proving Naomi King Lied with Their Own Words.
Shot of a text sent where Naomi King states themselves that they were asking for us to go further on the second day of the trip. And on top of that, they included snippets from a video apologizing to Kayla, and there was even another one to myself where they remove context where Naomi King explicitly states that the relationship was consensual.
I wish I could take it all back. I wish I could take it all fucking back. It was not worth losing what we had. I wish I'd said no. I wish you'd never gone to Vegas. I feel so fucking guilty because of what I did. Because of what I did to Kayla.
I do think that the text message from the beginning here is they were also present in Naomi's video. We just skipped over it because I think it's more important in this context that they are saying they didn't want any of this, etc., etc. Whereas in their text, they said, hey, I wanted to do more. And nowhere in their exchanges does it actually say that he assaulted her and she will, like any of that kind of stuff. Actually quite different or opposite, that they wanted to do more. They were looking for more, but they were getting frustrated because he was flip-flopping back and forth. This is Kayla's response to Naomi after finding out the truth, presumably from Daniel.
Human being. It was that message that made it very clear to me that she had been asking him for the truth, and he was still lying.
Naomi King said in their video that I reached out to them and wanted to know the truth. That is misleading. In May, they sent me a video, unprompted, wanting to apologize for what had happened. When I first saw the message, I did not want to respond right away, but I did say I would like to hear their side because I felt that was right. When I watched the video, I deleted that message as you can see here. Now, you might have noticed that my second response was never actually shown in either of their videos, and that is because it says this here: there is no mention of sexual assault. That is because there was absolutely none in the video I received. As a survivor of sexual assault myself, I take that very seriously, and had that been there, I would have had a very, very different response and conversation. In the video Naomi uploaded on Saturday, there are two very short snippets from that apology video. I think it would be best to show everyone the full context, so I will play the rest of it in full now.
I did to you what was done to me 10 years ago, and I fucking hate myself for it. I feel sick. It was one of the most painful things I have ever gone through, and I did it to you. The similarities between your situation now and where I was 10 years ago is so fucking similar that it's scary, and yet I still fucking did it, and I haven't stopped crying. I feel absolutely sick to my stomach. I am so sorry. You deserve so much better than that. I did not enjoy it. You did not enjoy it, and it kills me. I just want you to know I am truly sorry, and you deserve better. I don't expect a reply. I expect I'll be blocked, and I completely understand. But I never got an apology from the woman that actually fucked my husband, and I don't want to be that. I hate myself.
The comment that followed about vile and despicable actions by both parties was not in response to me learning about sexual assault. It was in response to me learning about a consensual affair. They proceeded to end the video by saying they know they will be blocked, that they don't expect a response from me, and that is exactly what I did. But then, 8 days later, I received a message from someone who said they were Naomi's friend and roommate. I just wanted to be left alone.
Dragging Kayla into this is just a move that really stands out to me, because, like, why? Okay, you were cheated on in the past and you hated it, yet you had a several years long affair with Daniel, knowing he was cheating, and then when he broke up with you, you alleged assault, and then you go and contact the girlfriend. You are just driving the knife further in and twisting it. You are trying to gather, like, sympathy points from Kayla by bringing up your own history that you hated being cheated on. Then why the fuck were you the knowing affair partner? You approaching Kayla and trying to get sympathy point from the victim because you have a guilty conscience, that's just fucked up. That, for me, stepped over a line that I originally didn't know I had, but I got so pissed when I saw this part the first time. It is just so incredibly inconsiderate and manipulative and fucking stupid overall. This should not have happened. Kayla is the innocent party in this. Leave her alone. You should not have contacted her. You shouldn't have reached out to her in any way, shape, or form. The relationship is between Kayla and Daniel. You have no say in that. Daniel is the piece of shit that cheated on Kayla. The resolution is between the two of them. You are an insignificant, irrelevant party in this. You're a piece of shit because you knowingly helped him cheat. So you're a piece of garbage too, but the relationship is not for you to get involved in. You got dumped. Stay dumped. Stay away. Go improve your own life. Deal with the shit that causes you to be okay with cheating. Move on. You reaching out to Kayla to get sympathy points because you felt a little bad now that you got dumped, but during the years when you were fine, you didn't have a guilty conscience. As I said, I got very heated when this came up. We're not going to spend a lot of time here on the apology video that came out the same day as the previous video. I just want to highlight one specific thing that Naomi says here.
I am also, horrifically sorry. I want to apologize to Kayla so much. And Daniel?
There is an explicit apology to both Kayla and Daniel for these things. They then go on to apologize further for the sexual assault victims. Now, after this, Naomi posts a Instagram story where they essentially say, hey, I'm apologizing to sexual assault victims, but I'm not rescinding my statement. I do not admit to falsely accusing Daniel Greene. So again, going back and forth a little bit, you're apologizing to Daniel, but you're also still accusing him of these things. So it's just a little bit back and forth. We're gonna head over to the final video in this whole thing, which is the 1 hour long sit me down that Naomi had, where they are responding to common questions. They are giving a little bit more context or information, but otherwise they're just going in circles, repeating stuff. But there's a specific thing that they say in this that I want to highlight, because I believe that was the last one that really stood out to me.
I remember getting back in bed and dozing off. I remember him climbing into bed, and he went from being in friend mode to having that predatory look in his eyes.
This word choice is definitely on purpose. It is something that further taps into the narrative and the emotion that we talked about earlier to really convey how this person just flipped the switch and they went from being this goody two-shoes to a predator. And that's where I went, oh, you're really trying to paint a picture here that really taps into that feeling. And this is why I think that Naomi King is using these particular words. It is in order to get more sympathy and access that emotion and the response that comes with that emotion. I skipped over it in this video where Naomi King is flat out saying I was surprised at how quickly people jumped on the bandwagon. I thought it would take more time. And that just sounds very, they were looking for a specific outcome, which is countered with, oh, I didn't want this to blow up. That's a fucking lie. Yes, you did. You, of course, wanted this to blow up, because otherwise, why would you make the video? You wanted it to reach people. And if we assume that you were doing it out of good intention, then it was because you wanted to warn other people. Therefore, you wanted it to blow up. So Naomi King is constantly just flip-flopping between these things. I never said that. I never used those words. It doesn't matter if you use those exact words. You are still conveying that message. You triggered an emotional response. You triggered society's want to give more help and protection to victims in a system that does not care for them. And you use that. And that is what people, survivors specifically, are calling you out on. This whole saga ends with Naomi King posting another Instagram story where they say that their friends have held an intervention and they are now checking themselves into an emergency mental health facility and will stop all communication, which so far is the truth. YouTube is gone, Instagram is private, no one has any more news on the topic as of the time of recording. I'm gonna leave it there because I've been talking so much, my voice is starting to hurt, and I have other stuff to do. But I hope that you maybe learned something. Share your thoughts and opinions down below. I would love to hear what you picked up from these videos and what you might have skipped over, what's important to you, and so on. Otherwise, I hope that you have a good day or night or wherever you're in a time stream, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!